The first reading tells us the sad story about Joseph and his brothers who really envied him and were so envious of how much their dad loved him that they decided to kill him. Well, in the end they decided to sell him. But the strange thing is the antiphon for the psalm, because the whole story is a little bit sad, but then in the antiphon we say, remember the marvels the Lord has done. It's a striking antiphon, and it seems to be disconnected with the first reading, but it isn't, because in the end it was providential that Joseph would go to Egypt. So today, brothers and sisters, I want us to think about how things can seem so accidental, but everything is part of God's providence. Think about the story about Joseph. His brothers had decided to kill him, and in the last moment, a caravan goes by, and one of the brothers, Judah, says, we should sell our brother instead of just letting him there to die in the pit. And that caravan just happened to be going to Egypt, where there was going to be a great produce of grain that would save them in the time of famine. What are the chances? You tell me. What are the chances that at that moment there was going to be a caravan going by that would go specifically to Egypt? Spoiler alert, but this Sunday too, it's the encounter between Jesus and the Samaritan. And it also seems to be an accidental encounter. Jesus is going to Jerusalem but has to go through Samaria, and it's noon and he feels thirsty and he goes into the well, and that lady just happens to be there at that time. And what these examples show us is that God has everything weighed and measured. God has weighed and measured everything. And isn't it true for your own life that God has shown you a beautiful providence for your own life? How many times did God surprise you with plans beyond your imagination? How many times were there accidental circumstances that in the long run you can see like, oh, this is what it meant. This is why it happened. I know this may sound trivial, but today I'm going to Iowa. So a priest in Iowa who I've never met sent us an email saying, could one of the PS priests come to Iowa to preach a mission trip? To preach a mission? And then I said, what are the chances that my provincial is going to say yes? So then I reach out to my provincial and he says, yeah, you should go. So I'm saying this because I'm going, and I know that it's all part of God's providence. And you know what, brothers and sisters? It is much more beautiful, our life, when we know that God has everything weighed and measured. When we know that everything is part of His plan and His providence. So today, brothers and sisters, my invitation is to make the antiphon of the psalm our own. Remember the marvels the Lord has done. Remember today at the feet of the altar, how many marvels did God do in your own life? In how many ways did He had everything weighed and measured providentially for your own good? And in spite of everything that He has shown us, how often do you despair? How often do you lose your peace? How often do you complain? So today, brothers and sisters, let's look at Joseph. And let us remember, everything is part of your loving providence.